So, in today's training, in today's episode, we're going to be talking about if you have only 30 minutes a day to spend on LinkedIn, what should you do? And it's funny, I did a poll question last week on how much time people are spending on LinkedIn. Not nearly enough, 30 to 60 minutes a day, 90 minutes or more, other comment below. And here's the thing, we are not suggesting that you spend hours and hours and hours a day on LinkedIn. Why we choose 30 minutes is because everybody has 30 minutes that they can spend. Now, that could be 30 minutes in the morning, that could be 30 minutes in the afternoon, 30 minutes after you're done your workday, or it could be 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the afternoon. You could split it any which way you want. But we're going to go over the simplistic things that you can do in just 30 minutes a day that will move the needle of your business, visibility, and presence on LinkedIn forward. Now, before we dive in and I let Nancy kind of jam out on this, one of the first things that you want to make sure that you do on LinkedIn outside of these 30-minute a day activities is optimizing your LinkedIn profile. I can't stress this enough. Profiles on LinkedIn now need to be SEO optimized just like a website. And a lot of people don't know how much money and visibility and engagement they're leaving on the table by not having a properly optimized LinkedIn profile. So, if you're listening on the podcast and you'd like to do so, there's a link in the description that you can click on that will give you a full PDF of how to get this done yourself. If you're watching on social, Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn, simply type the word me in the comments and we will send you the link so you can download this infographic and get your profile optimized today. So, Nance, what should people be doing if they only had 30 minutes a day to spend on LinkedIn?
All right. Well, first things first, right? We need to be doing things every single day to grow our audience, right? So we need to be mindful of, the time that we're spending. And first off, we need to consistently be growing that network, right? So I would absolutely make sure that you're spending time, being intentional on LinkedIn by connecting, with the right people. We don't want to be connect happy. Okay. Again, I'll throw this out there. You guys do not want to be using bots and, third party applications, things like that. We have seen way too many people get shut down. You guys know if you've been listening to us for a while, we teach the best practices, right? We don't want you to get shut down. So we should be growing our network, and you can only, right, surprise, have 100, right? You can add 100 connections per week, max, and you should spread that out, right? So 14 to 18 connections per day. We do know that we also want to take advantage of LinkedIn's area, right, where it suggests connections for you. So as you're starting to grow your network, we want to make sure to go to that My Network area and start adding some people. But again, we want to limit our connections to about 14 to 18 per day so that you don't get blocked. So that's number one, right? We should be growing our audience. We should be connecting with more people. The second thing that we should start to do more of, okay, because it is not just a post it and ghost it platform. We want to engage, okay? We want to make sure that if someone has commented on our content or have sent us messages, that we are responding, right? We're engaging with others. So many times when you connect with someone, they might reach out and say, hey, would love to, meet you, see how we can support each other. Great. So let's make sure that we answer those requests and those comments. So definitely spend a few minutes engaging. And guys, this could take under 10 minutes, right? We're not talking about an hour's worth of engaging.
I had
So,
a conversation the other day with a gentleman on my podcast, very successful uh, digital marketing company, been in business for 25 years. He actually runs his company with his wife, just like you and I do. And it was interesting because he's up on all the latest aspects of business. But it was interesting. He said no matter how much business advances, he said if you're not networking and not creating relationships in business, you're going to be out of business. And that's why LinkedIn is so powerful. To Nancy's point, you're just a click away from creating a new relationship with someone. Everyone thinks that you can't not be spammy or salesy on LinkedIn. Yes, there definitely is a stereotype on LinkedIn that there's a lot of pitch slappers and spammers, and they exist everywhere. They're not just on LinkedIn. If you ever check your DMs on Instagram or Facebook or even YouTube, like there's spammers everywhere. And now they've infiltrated our email inboxes. If anyone has
Oh,
checked their email, like I mean, I get so many
yeah, the podcast invites. Yeah, all
garbage
out of
emails every
control.
single day.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, the more genuine and authentic you are with how you show up on LinkedIn, not just by creating content, but the way that you reach out to people, the way that you message people, the way that your content shows up in people's news feeds, you have no idea how meaningful that is to the other person that has been sold to and pitch slapped and even had the rug pulled out from underneath them. I remember Nancy sharing a story with me that she made a connection on LinkedIn, and the person seemed interested in wanting to get to know her and what she does. She gets on this call and it ends up being a an infiltration of a PowerPoint presentation for a network marketing company that she had no interest in. And Nancy basically had, not, I'm sorry to speak for you, but she had to stop the conversation and basically said, "Hey, that wasn't the intent of this conversation. It was to get to know one another, and here you are trying to pitch me and sell me on a network marketing opportunity." So that's where a lot of strategies get a bad rap. But what Nancy and I are trying to convey to all of you is that you can be one of the good ones on LinkedIn and you can set aside 30 minutes a day to do the right things for the right people to create the right results.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing. Like, again, everybody, I've talked to so many people, and I've even guys talked to CEOs of like billion-dollar companies, right? Who have this idea. And it's funny because the more and more, like, just this just keeps coming up, people will say, oh, well, what's a good use of my time? What's not a good use of my time? This, that, whatever. Across the board, every single expert. And guys, you can go on, like, search some of these CEOs and founders. They're on there and they're actually posting, their own content. They're actually engaging. You can only do so much on LinkedIn. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to outsource, right, my personal brand, and we're not talking about hours and hours and hours. We're talking about real connections. So, we've connected with so many people. Scott's on podcast interviews with a lot of authors, influencers, things like that. And it's all been through connections on LinkedIn. So if you're thinking, there's another thing that I just want to outsource and it's not a great use of my time, well, guys, like, stop it, knock it off. So anyway, we talked already about growing your network. We talked already about engaging. We obviously want to make sure that you guys are preparing and you're publishing content, right? Content that actually has you showing up with as you, sharing your skills, your expertise, the things that you are the thought leader in. And the cool thing about that is because we get the question all the time, well, what kind of content should I post if I'm trying to attract, my ideal power partners, referral partners, and the people out there that I'm looking to serve. And here's the thing, if you are showing that you know your stuff, right? You share that, I am an expert in this and I'm going to share some tips and I'm going to solve some pain points that you have. Again, that really covers, kind of umbrellas the whole gamut because those power partners are also going to see you as the expert and, oh, okay, that person really knows what they're talking about. So the thing is, we've got so many different examples of just different service professionals using it in so many different ways. And, just giving this one example, I had a client that they had some really amazing abilities to help other health insurance brokers. They actually were, supporting and they help with Medicare, right? All, communicating the education and knowledge around Medicare. That's such an amazing, like, partner, right, for a lot of health insurance professionals who also need some of that information or need to direct people, that way. All they need to do is reach out, make a couple of power partners. And again, they've got this beautiful business synergy. And they're posting content about Medicare, right? The details, the ins and outs, and when they're making connections, they're obviously leading right into it. So we need to make sure, right, that we are creating content that showcases the skills and the abilities and all the things, that really make us the expert in our space. So obviously we've got that solved. We've got the Expert Content Society, that we've created specifically to help service professionals with that. But it's a piece of the puzzle. It is not the entire puzzle on LinkedIn. So again, we can't stress enough. You shouldn't just be posting and ghosting, right? We should be connecting daily, growing our networks, growing our audience. We should be engaging, with any of the interactions, anything that's going on. We need to make sure that we are posting content. Okay. So very, very important things. And everything that I've described takes less than 30 minutes or should take less than 30 minutes. And even posting, guys, you don't have to post every single day, right? You can post a few times a week, right? If that is enough to kind of get your toes in. If you are so nervous about posting and you're like, oh, I'm not ready, go find a post that you resonate on your feed, on your news feed, and share it and actually just write a couple comments about why it resonated with you or how you support the topic or your views on it. Start there. Okay. But the point is you got to get into action. I promise the more and more you do it every day, it's like going to the gym. It gets easier and easier.
And again, if you are going to post on LinkedIn and you want to get started with it, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are typically the best 3 days to begin with. Monday, they say, is not a great day to post just because people are getting back into the swing of things after being away for the
Right.
weekend. And Friday, people are just thinking at happy hour and playing darts and, drinking whatever they're drinking at happy hour. So if you want to really take advantage of the visibility in the very beginning, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays are the best 3 days to post. And then as you get into a routine and a flow where that's becoming easy, you can do what I do, which is post every day, Monday through Friday. Some people do post on the weekends. I typically don't recommend it because people are kind of checked out. Time of day, you always want to post in the morning between 7 and 9 Eastern just to get the visibility spread throughout the entire day. People before work, people at work, people after work. Because I was sharing this with Nancy the other day. I made a post in the morning and people were engaging all day long. People were engaging in the morning, people engaged in the afternoon, and I even had people engage the very next day. So it's LinkedIn will show your stuff to more people. And as Nancy mentioned, we've made that easy for people with our Expert Content Society, which they're AI powered prompts that ask you questions to help you create up to 6 posts per week on LinkedIn. And I'll finish with this. Just know that only 1% of the LinkedIn population posts more than one time per week, meaning 9% are either passive engagers or not doing anything at all. So you really want to capture the most attention possible. So if you're posting 2, 3 times a week, you are in that upper echelon of content creators that can garner as much visibility as you want.
Absolutely. So, part of all of this, guys, though, is we want to reiterate how important it is to have your profile optimized, right? As we're connecting, as we're growing, as we're showing up with our content, we need to have a really good profile, right? That is complete and it's easily, right, understandable to our audience, how we can work with you and what you do. So if you want to, optimize your profile, you want some tips how to do that, we do have a guide. We'll put the link in the show notes and then obviously on the post as well. But it is our Optimize Your LinkedIn Profile Guide. I highly advise, right? And, with everything that we've read as far as algorithm updates and what's been going on, the number one thing is most important as we jump in and get started on LinkedIn, and that is make sure it is very clear what you do, who you help, and have an optimized profile on LinkedIn.
So again, if you're watching on social, just type the word me in the comments and we'll send you the guide. This is going to be the first step in getting yourself more visible and more present on LinkedIn because with an optimized LinkedIn profile, you can have more eyeballs on the content that you're going to create. Remember, 30 minutes a day. Engage with your network, create content, reach out to new people, build that network of either ideal clients or business allies to take advantage of that time that we're all given each and every day. So again, if you want the guide, check the description of this podcast episode and the show notes. If you're on social, just type the word me in the comments and we'll send you the guide link to download it. So everyone, please enjoy the rest of your days, love and gratitude, and we'll talk to you next time.